Oh, hey dude, would you be able to help me out? Oh, sure thing. What would you like me to do? Well, would you be able to move my character from New York to London, then possibly remove 2 cubes, and then trade in some cards to build a research station, and grab that fully cooperative board game over there while you're at it? Wait, what does this have to do with changing a light bulb? Excellent. In this video, we look at some fully cooperative board games that really have tried to do things a little bit differently by experimenting with new mechanics, introducing new ideas or concepts, or improving on a pre-existing board game design. This is a really fun list to put together because some of these games were fully embraced and really wowed audiences, where others were received with a very lukewarm response.
Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition.
Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition is an app-driven, fully cooperative adventure board game full of mystery and horror, where players take on the role of different investigators taken from the Lovecraftian world. In this game, players will download an app from the App Store, pick a scenario, and embark on an adventure where players will be exploring the haunted mansions of Arkham, solving cases on the streets of Innsmouth, as the app provides different obstacles that players will need to resolve, including different combinations of monsters, threats, and different multiple plot threads that players will need to follow. Players will essentially need to work together to solve puzzles, collect information and clues and items, whilst battling on the brink of insanity and possible doom.
Inspired by the writings of H.P. Lovecraft, Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition has players controlling a character with certain attributes and abilities as they explore a location to unravel a mystery driven by the downloadable app. Throughout the game, players will battle creatures, solve puzzles, befriend various characters to hopefully uncover an intricately woven story. Each round in the game consists of the investigator phase and the mythos phase. In the investigator phase, players can move characters to other rooms or locations, explore items or places of interest, search, interact with other characters, trade, or use actions on their components or attack a monster. Attacking a monster requires the use of the app, which often involves resolving a skill test and dice roll in combination with the use of a selection of player cards. In the mythos phase, the app generates a range of events that threaten the player's success in the game. Players win the game when they have met their objective, which becomes unveiled at a significant moment in each game. If players suffer too much combat damage or go completely insane, they can potentially lose the game.
Mansions of Madness, the 1st edition, was a favourite amongst many board gamers when it first came out. It had a plethora of rules and required one player to act as the game master to control the minions and set up the rooms as players engaged in a mystery that they decided on. With the introduction of the 2nd edition of Mansions of Madness came the introduction, although it wasn't the first, of an app which allowed the gameplay to be more streamlined and eliminated the need for players to allocate a game master. The introduction of the idea of an app really divided players, stating it was more divisive in shifting the focus of an idea of a game board experience more onto a digital online computer-orientated experience and really detracted away from the actual game. Others really embraced the idea of having an app and having their favorite Lovecraftian themed game, and it was now more accessible, and there was less emphasis on reading rules and following instructions. And some other people only liked the idea of having an app only if it enhanced the board game experience and the social experience and the strategic thinking involved in a board game without detracting away from the tabletop experience itself.
Time Stories.
Time Stories is a fully cooperative storytelling game of dexploration, where each time players play the game, they'll be exploring a particular mystery contained in a deck of cards. Players will be taking on the role of temporal time agents as they travel back in time to other worlds and alternate realities and embody characters in those universes in order to try and solve a mystery. Players, however, only have a limited time in those areas, as every movement and action that they take takes up time units, and they'll need to overcome any obstacles, solve any puzzles to complete the scenario before time runs out.
In each different time story scenario that players complete, players receive a mission briefing and a mission objective to fulfill in order to unravel the mystery and complete the game. Players each embody different characters from the selected story, each with their own unique abilities, statistics, and personalities. Players use these vessels to explore different panoramic locations where they pick up a card at their chosen spot and relay the information back to the players in their own words. Players essentially live the story through the characters. These cards may involve speaking to other characters, examining a visual clue, solving a puzzle, or resolving a test that may harm or benefit characters if they fail or succeed. Players need not waste time, however, as each action takes up valuable time in the form of time units. If players complete the mission within the allocated time frame, they win.
When Time Stories was released, it introduced a new system of board game that really wowed players, and it seemed to have found a way to really immerse players in a deeply rich story, where they were walking in the shoes of characters, living out their stories, and making meaningful choices. The idea is that the players would relay and paraphrase information based on their experience in an immediate situation as they visited different panoramas around the game really was exciting and deeply moving. However, this also introduced the idea of establishing a game system, much like a Nintendo gaming console, where once a consumer had completed a time story per se, they wouldn't be likely to replay, and they would have to buy other expansion modules to continue using the system, much like a 90s cartridge-based video game. The idea of paying for a very short-lived experience or investing in a system long-term was appealing to some, but not to others, because mainly it hurt the pocket and the amount of cash that they were willing to dish out on it.
Pandemic Legacy Season 2.
Pandemic Legacy Season 2 takes place 71 years after Season 1, where the world has suffered from the plague of disease, and the remnants of humanity and any survivors remaining have now had to seek refuge on places called havens, which are located in the oceans far away from the cities. Now, there are a small band of survivors who've now decided to go back to those fallen cities and explore and see if any of those cities can still be salvaged. And in this game, instead of players removing disease cubes off the board, they're actually adding supply cubes to different locations to protect those locations from the effect of an incurable plague that is still affecting the world. So players will be venturing out, exploring, planning, acting, working together, and performing recon actions at different locations to try and explore and see if the world can actually be saved or not.
As a sequel, Season 2 offers new challenges and is driven by a legacy deck similar to Season 1. However, where it differs now is that players will be trying to build supply stations, adding and transporting supply cubes in various cities to protect them from disease, and performing recon actions in various locations to hopefully explore and expand the world map. Players need to be careful, as when players perform the Infect City step or when they reveal an epidemic card, players will instead be removing all of the supply cubes from a city drawn from this deck. On locations where a supply cube cannot be removed, a green plague cube is placed, causing any player who starts their turn there to receive a nasty scar. Each time a plague cube is added, the incident marker moves forward on the track. If it ever moves to the skull space, or the plague cube supply is diminished, or the player deck is finished, the players lose the game. Players win if they meet the mandatory objectives required for the month.
Pandemic Legacy series has shown that taking a very popular base game and re-implementing it in a way that changes the rules, introduces new challenges and ideas, can really and truly be successful. Season 2 re-implements the heart of Pandemic in a new and interesting way. Games like this only truly succeed when they take what players loved about the original game and embed it in the new game in a fresh, new and inspiring way that stays true to its theme.
Witness.
Witness is a fully cooperative, mystery-solving, puzzle-like board game for exactly 4 players, where players take on the role of various characters from the comic series Blake and Mortimer. Players will attempt to solve 64 different cases of varying difficulty and depth, but there's a little bit of a twist. Players only have one piece of a much larger puzzle. Players will need to whisper their piece of the puzzle to the other players, and hopefully they will do so without forgetting all of the important details. At the end of the round, players will then have to try and answer 3 questions relating to their case from the question book. If all players can answer all 3 questions successfully, they gain 12 points and win the game.
In Witness, there are a range of 64 different cases of varying difficulty and challenge. After allocating each player character and their corresponding clue book, players jointly read the selected case to be solved. Players then follow the round track and speak to the relevant individual as represented by the arrows. Players attempt to communicate all of their knowledge of their own clue as well as clues acquired from the other players. At the end of 4 rounds, players may write down the information they have learned and answer 3 questions about the case at the end, without speaking to the other players.
There are a multitude of crime-solving board games out there in many shapes and forms. However, one game, based on the comics of Blake and Mortimer, introduced an intriguing idea. What if each player had a piece of the puzzle and the aim was to communicate each of those pieces of information to help the other players reach and come to the same conclusion and thus solve the mystery? This is exactly what Witness has done. Taking the game of telephone, this game has players devising mnemonics and flexing their memory storage abilities in order to work cooperatively to win. Spreading the clues in this way forces players to communicate effectively and listen actively.
Legends of Andor.
Legends of Andor is a fully cooperative fantasy puzzle-solving adventure replacing the role of heroes as they defend Andor from the invading hordes. Players will embark on 5 unique quests, with each quest defined by its own special legend deck, with its own unfolding narrative and unique objectives. However, time is limited and every player's action counts. As the monsters progressively head closer and closer towards the castle each round, the fate of Andor lies in your hands.
In Legends of Andor, players take on the role of various fantasy characters with different abilities and attempt to complete a set of quest objectives via the selected legend deck. Players are essentially engaging in a subplot of an overarching narrative. As players progress through a legend, the deck will notify players of new objectives, new story moments, and introduce endgame conditions that players need to achieve. As players upgrade their characters by purchasing equipment, completing side quests, and fighting monsters, this drives the story marker up the legend track, causing the game to end. As players gain strength and improve their willpower points, their characters' dice-related abilities improve. Players will need to balance defending the kingdom from being overrun by monsters, as well as picking their battles carefully as each monster destroyed moves the legend marker up the legend track. As players explore the map, they'll attempt to gain resources and bonuses that will hopefully aid in their quest. Players will have to use their actions wisely on the time track, pick their battles, respond to events to solve the ultimate puzzle, the board game itself.
When you think of a fantasy-themed board game, most players will imagine your typical warrior, elf, dwarf or wizard fighting off monsters and warding off evil. Legends of Andor appears to be like this on the surface, but upon closer inspection, it sets itself apart from other fantasy board games like it in its own genre. Firstly, the game teaches you how to play as you go through a deck of legend cards, which players pick up on each quest they embark on. It introduces new story plot points, different setup instructions, and changes to the game along the way, which is embedded in the unfolding narrative. However, one rule in this game has divided many players. In this game, where monsters slowly advance towards the castle and ultimately cause you to lose the game itself takes time off players each time they destroy a monster, which means that whenever players destroy a minion, the story marker moves up the story track, ending the game much sooner. So players will need to second guess and think more decisively about when to destroy a monster and when to focus on a side quest, thus making the game feel more like a puzzle than a role-playing game experience. So which board game mechanic do you think has truly revolutionized the way board gamers design board games? Please post them in the comments below because I'd love to read them. If you really like this video, please like, subscribe and share. And once again, thank you for supporting this YouTube channel. I look forward to bringing more high quality board game review videos in the near future. This is Danny signing out. Goodbye.